Every American double gun factory that mattered is dead, and the shotguns they built before they died are turning into some of the most valuable objects in the entire firearms world. Keep watching to make sure you or your family are not sitting on one of these 10 assets and didn't know about it until now. By 1969, the golden era of American shotgun manufacturing was effectively over. Parker was gone. L.C. Smith was gone. The Fox name had been swallowed by Savage decades earlier. Ithaca had already changed hands and changed methods. The hand fitting, the machine steel, the walnut selected one blank at a time by a craftsman who knew what he was looking at, all of it started disappearing, and it is never coming back. What survived from before that collapse is finite, and finite things that people still want only move in one direction. Today, we are counting down 10 American shotguns that are quietly, steadily becoming priceless, and the guns sitting at number one sold at auction for more money than most people will earn in 5 years combined. Let's get into it. Starting off on our list at number 10, the Remington Model 32. Most shotgun owners have never even heard of this gun, and that is exactly why it belongs on this list. In 1932, Remington set out to do something no American manufacturer had successfully done before: build a true over and under shotgun that could stand next to the European guns coming out of England and Germany. The result was the Model 32, a separable barrel design with a sliding lock action that gave American trap and skeet shooters a domestic option that could genuinely compete on the firing line. Competitive shooters in the 1930s and early 1940s took to it immediately. But here is the detail almost nobody knows. Remington built fewer than 5,000 of these guns before production ended in 1947. 5,000 total across every configuration. That scarcity alone would make it collectible, but there is a second layer to the story that most owners never learn. When Remington walked away from the design, the tooling and concept eventually found their way to Krieghoff in Germany, who used it as the foundation for the K80, one of the most respected competition shotguns still built today. That means the Model 32 is not just a rare old Remington, it is the direct ancestor of a gun still winning championships right now. Back in 2000, you could find a Model 32 for around $800 if you knew where to look. Today, a correct example with matching numbers, original case coloring, and original walnut is bringing $4,000 to $8,000, and documented trap or skeet configurations with known competition history push past $12,000. Look for the Ilion, New York roll mark on the receiver and confirm the serial number on the receiver matches the barrel set. If those numbers line up and you find one of these in a closet, you are not looking at an old shotgun. You are looking at the missing chapter of American competition shooting. Coming in at 9, the Winchester Model 42. If the Model 12 is Winchester's masterpiece in 12 gauge, the Model 42 is what happens when Winchester decides to build something just as refined in miniature. Introduced in 1933 and built specifically around the .410 bore, the Model 42 took the smooth, machined action of the legendary Model 12 and scaled it down for skeet shooters and small game hunters who wanted precision without weight. Production ran until 1963, and across 30 years, Winchester only built around 162,000 of them, which sounds like a lot until you understand how the grading system splits that number apart. Field-grade guns were the working man's version. Trap and skeet grades came next. But the pigeon grade, custom-built with engraving and premium walnut in Winchester's own shop, is one of the rarest production shotguns the company ever released. A field-grade Model 42 sold for around $400 back in 1990. Today, that same gun in original condition, with matching numbers, brings $1,200 to $2,500. Push into trap or skeet grade, and you are looking at $2,000 to $4,000. But the pigeon grade examples, the ones with the master engraver's touch, are selling for $8,000 to $18,000, and custom shop guns with documented engraving by names like Nick Kusmich have crossed $35,000 at auction. Check the barrel for the Model 42 roll mark. Confirm the serial number falls below roughly $160,000 to guarantee pre-64 production. And if you see the pigeon grade marking on the receiver flat, do not let that gun leave your family. Taking our number 8 position, the Ithaca Model 37 Featherlight, specifically pre-1969 production. This is the gun that solved a problem no other pump shotgun of its era even acknowledged. John Browning and John Peterson designed the Model 37 around a bottom ejection system, meaning spent shells drop straight down through the loading port instead of flying out the side. That single engineering choice meant a left-handed shooter could run the gun exactly as comfortably as a right-handed one, with no hot brass ever crossing in front of their face. Law enforcement noticed immediately. New York City police carried it. Los Angeles carried it. The Marine Corps carried the Model 37 through Vietnam. But the gun built before 1969 and the gun built after are not really the same product. Ownership changes and manufacturing shortcuts after that year changed the receiver quality, the wood, and the finish. Pre-69 guns have machined steel receivers and hand-cut walnut that later production simply abandoned. In 1990, you could find one of these for around $250. Today, a correct pre-69 Featherlight with matching numbers and original bluing brings $900 to $2,000. Trap and pigeon grade examples from that same era bring $2,500 to $5,500. And any Model 37 with documented police or Vietnam-era military markings is selling for $6,000 to $12,000 at auction. The tell is on the receiver itself, roll-marked Ithaca Gun Company, Ithaca, New York. Original walnut from this era carries a noticeably darker, richer tone than anything refinished later. If your grandfather brought one home from the service, that darkened wood is not damage. It is exactly what makes the gun worth thousands. Standing at number 7, the Browning Auto 5, Belgian production before 1976. John Browning considered this his finest piece of engineering, and he designed the 1911, the high power, and the bar, so that statement carries real weight. The Auto 5 was the world's first commercially successful semi-automatic shotgun. Built around a long recoil system, Browning invented specifically because gas operation was not yet reliable enough for the violent, inconsistent pressures a shotgun shell produces. No American manufacturer would commit the capital to tool up for it, so Browning took the design to Fabrique Nationale in Belgium, where it entered production in 1903 and stayed in continuous Belgian manufacture until 1976, when the tooling finally moved to Japan. The Belgian guns are the ones collectors chase: hand-fit actions, deep polished bluing, European walnut with real figure in it, and on the higher grades, engraving that rivals anything coming out of England at the time. Within the lineup, the Sweet 16, a lighter frame 16-gauge version, has become one of the most beloved American sporting shotguns ever imported, prized for a balance that heavier 12-gauge guns simply cannot match. A standard Belgian Auto 5 sold for around $350 in 1990. Today, a correct example with matching numbers and original finish brings $900 to $2,200, and Sweet 16 variants push $1,200 to $3,200. Step into the higher engraved grades from FN's custom shop, and you are looking at $8,000 to $30,000 for guns touched by master engravers. Check the receiver for the Fabrique Nationale Herstel Belgique roll mark, confirm Belgian proof marks on the barrel, and remember that squared humpbacked receiver profile is unmistakable once you know what you're looking at. Nobody's building these in Belgium anymore. What exists is permanently fixed. Before we go further, here's a question worth answering honestly in the comments. Has anyone in your family ever handed down a Belgian Browning, and did you know what gauge it was chambered in? I read every comment on these videos, and the stories people share about inherited guns are honestly half the reason I keep making them. Now, the next 6 shotguns on this list are where this stops being interesting and starts being genuinely life-changing money. At number 6, the A.H. Fox Sterling Worth HE grade. Theodore Roosevelt called this the finest shotgun America ever produced, and he had access to every gun in the world at the time, so that is not a small compliment. Ansley H. Fox founded his company in Philadelphia in 1905, building box-lock side-by-side shotguns across a range of grades starting with the working man's Sterling Worth and climbing to the HE grade, his excellency. the top of standard production with extensive engraving and hand-selected walnut. Roosevelt personally owned several and carried them on his African safaris and his Wyoming hunts, and his endorsement made the Fox the shotgun of choice for serious American sportsmen of that entire era. Original Philadelphia production ran only from 1905 to 1931. After that, Savage Arms bought the company and kept building Fox shotguns into the 1940s, but without the hand-fitting standards that made the original special. A Sterling worth sold for around $500 in 1990. Today, a correct original Philadelphia gun in good condition with matching numbers brings $1,200 to $3,200. HE grade examples climb to $4,500 to $12,000. And the rare FE grade, the true top of Philadelphia production, has crossed $35,000, with documented Roosevelt-era provenance pieces reaching well past $75,000 at specialist auctions. Look for the A.H. Fox Gun Company roll mark with the Philadelphia address specifically. Savage-era guns are marked differently and simply do not command the same money. Halfway through the list now. At number 5, the L.C. Smith Crown in Premier Grade. Here is a fact that surprises even serious collectors. L.C. Smith is the only American shotgun maker to ever produce a true sidelock action in real commercial numbers. The same style of lock mounted on a removable side plate that British best gun makers like Purdy were famous for. Every other American manufacturer used box locks or modified versions of them. L.C. Smith started in Syracuse, New York in 1890, was acquired by Hunter Arms in 1894, and kept building guns until 1945. The lower grades, Field, Ideal, Specialty, and Trap, were the working tier. But the Crown grade and the Premier grade above it were engraved by master craftsmen like Louis Vail and represent the absolute peak of American sidelock construction. Fewer than 500 Premier grade L.C. Smiths were ever built across the entire 45-year run of the company. A Field grade sold for around $600 in 1990. Today, an original Syracuse Field grade brings $900 to $1,900. Specialty and Trap grades bring $2,500 to $5,000. Crown grade guns bring $6,000 to $15,000, and Premier grade examples are selling for $15,000 to $45,000, with documented exhibition guns crossing $75,000. The giveaway is the removable side lock plate itself, something no other American maker built at scale, along with the L.C. Smith roll mark on the barrel rib and the grade name engraved directly on the action. If your grandfather's fancy double gathering dust in the closet has a removable plate on the side of the receiver, get it appraised before anyone touches it. A dealer who does not know what he is looking at might offer you $300 for an $8,000 gun, and that happens at estate sales every single weekend across this country. Occupying our number 4 position, the Winchester Model 12 Pigeon Grade, pre-1964. The standard Model 12 is already a legend, introduced in 1912 and built until 1964 out of solid machined steel with no stamped parts anywhere in the gun. But the Pigeon Grade sitting above it is where the real collector money lives. Introduced in the late 1930s as Winchester's premium competition tier, the Pigeon Grade added a hand-fitted barrel, polished bluing, premium walnut, hand-cut checkering, and an engraved receiver, and it became the gun that serious trap and skeet shooters chased for national titles for decades. Winchester never published exact production figures for the pre-64 Pigeon Grade, but industry estimates put the total well under 20,000 units across the entire run. A Pigeon Grade sold for around $800 in 1990. Today, a correct pre-64 example with matching numbers and original finish brings $4,500 to $12,000. Trap grade pre-64 guns bring $3,000 to $6,000. Skeet grade brings $2,500 to $4,500. And the genuinely rare 28-gauge Pigeon Grade examples are selling for $15,000 to $35,000. Push into the Grand American tier with full engraving and gold inlay, and you are looking at guns that have crossed $75,000 at auction. Confirm the Pigeon Grade roll mark on the receiver flat. Verify the serial number sits inside documented pre-64 ranges, and check for original bluing and walnut, because post-64 guns lack the original pin formed and carry different markings entirely. Now to number 3, the Browning Superposed Diana and Midas Grade, Belgian production before 1976. John Browning began designing this gun in the 1920s as the world's first genuinely viable over and under shotgun, and he died in 1926 before finishing it. His son Val Browning completed the design, and Fabrique Nationale began Belgian production in 1931, continuing until 1976 when manufacturing shifted to Japan. The grading system on this gun is almost theatrical in how far it climbs. Grade 1 was standard, Pigeon grade added engraving, Pointer grade added gold inlay, Diana grade was an extensively engraved presentation gun, and Midas grade sat at the absolute top, full gold inlaid engraving over premium walnut with custom shop attention paid to every single surface. Fewer than 500 Belgian Midas grade superposed shotguns were ever built. A Belgian grade 1 sold for around $800 in 1990. Today, that same gun in excellent condition brings $200 to $4,500. Pigeon grade examples bring $3,500 to $7,500. Pointer grade climbs to $6,000 to $15,000. Diana grade Belgian guns bring $15,000 to $40,000. And Midas grade examples have crossed $70,000 at major auction houses. Confirm the Fabrique Nationale Herstal Belgique roll mark on the receiver, check the grade engraving on the action, and look closely at the walnut grain, because original Belgian stocks have a noticeably tighter pattern than the Japanese production that followed after 1976. Our second to last gun at number 2, the Winchester Model 21, custom grade. Winchester built this gun to prove something, not to make money on it, and that is not an exaggeration. Introduced in 1931 as a side-by-side built to European bespoke standards, but priced for American buyers, the Model 21 used hammer-forged barrels, hand-fit actions, and walnut pulled from the same reserves Winchester used on its super-grade Model 70 rifles. Standard production ran until 1960, but Winchester's custom shop kept hand-building Model 21s all the way until 1993. The grading climbs from field through trap, skeet, pigeon, and Grand American Pigeon grade, before reaching the custom grade and custom-built grade guns, engraved by names like Nick Kusmich and Arnold Griebel, the kind of work that puts a shotgun into six-figure territory. A field-grade Model 21 sold for around $1,500 in 1990. Today, a correct pre-1960 field grade brings $5,000 to $12,000. Trap and skeet grade examples bring $10,000 to $22,000. Pigeon grade guns bring $25,000 to $50,000. Grand American Pigeon grade examples with full engraving have crossed $125,000. And custom-built guns signed by a named master engraver routinely sell at $150,000 and above. Look for the Winchester Model 21 roll mark on the receiver, the grade marking on the barrel rib, and if you have the patience to look under magnification, an engraver's signature that turns an already valuable gun into a documented piece of art. And taking top spot, number 1 on our list, the Parker Brothers shotgun, Invincible grade. This is the gun every other shotgun on this list has been building toward, and it is not close. Charles Parker founded his company in Meriden, Connecticut in 1868, and for 70 years, Parker built what most historians and serious collectors still consider the single finest shotgun ever made on American soil. The grading system starts at the entry-level Trojan and climbs through VH, GH, DH, CH, BH, AH, all the way up to the AAH, then the A1 Special, and finally the Invincible, introduced in 1930 as the absolute summit of American gunmaking. The very first Invincible sold for $1,500 in 1930, a record for any American-made shotgun at the time, more than double what you would have paid for a Purdy shipped over from London. Only 3 Invincibles were ever built, 3 in the entire history of the company. Total Parker production across all grades in all 70 years landed around 245,000 guns, but the AAH grade numbers fewer than 240 examples across the entire run, A1 Specials number under 100, and Invincibles again only 3. The auction results speak for themselves. In May of 2021, Rock Island Auction sold an inscribed Parker Brothers, a grade 20 gauge, for $207,000. Grade 7 AHE guns, the tier directly below the A1 Special, routinely bring $55,000 to $100,000 when correct examples surface at all. A documented pigeon-grade gun sold for over $35,000 in a single 2024 auction. Look for the Parker Brothers, Meriden, Connecticut roll mark on the action, grade engraving on the barrel flats, and pay close attention to original case coloring, because roughly 95% of surviving Parkers have lost most of theirs, which means any high-condition example is worth exponentially more than a worn one. If your grandfather or great-grandfather left behind an old double gun with heavy engraving and the Parker name on it, do not clean it, do not touch the finish, and do not let a general dealer put a price on it. Call a specialist auction house first. You may be sitting on the single most valuable production shotgun ever built in America, worth more than the house it has been sitting in. So here is what I want you to actually do. Go look at the shotguns in your own safe, or your father's or your grandfather's. Check the roll marks, check the grade stamps. Compare what you find against this list, because the odds are higher than you think that something in there is worth real money. If you own one of these guns, do not refinish it, do not clean the case coloring off it, and do not let anyone talk you into new wood or a fresh coat of blue. Original condition is the entire value. And if you are ever considering selling, get a specialist appraisal first, because the gap between what a pawn shop offers and what a collector will actually pay can be tens of thousands of dollars. Now I want to hear from you. Which one of these 10 is sitting in your safe right now? And did you already know what it was worth before this video? Is there one that's missing and should be on this list? Drop it in the comments. I read every single one of them. If this list taught you something new, hit that subscribe button, because I break down the real market on collectible firearms every single week. Next week, I am covering the double rifles and big bore doubles that European nobility carried on safari, and why one of them just quietly sold for more than a house. You do not want to miss that one. Take care of what you have and never sell what is still climbing.